Wisdom in 8,000 lines, Reba. A humble revision of the wonderful achievement of the late Dr. Edward Conze, now of the 21st century, by Richard Babcock. Chapter 17. Attributes, Signs, and Tokens of Irreversibility. Various tokens of irreversibility. Subhuti, what, O Lord, are any attributes, tokens, and signs of an irreversible Bodhisattva, and how do we know any Bodhisattva is irreversible? The Lord, this level of we common people, this level of we disciples, this level of we Pratyekabuddhas, this level of we Buddhas, these levels, and we are all called the level of suchness. Thought as well, all these are suchness, not two, nor any one divided, neither discriminated amongst, nor undiscriminated between. A Bodhisattva is revealed as within suchness and not other than this nature of dharma. Realizing one's firm stance as suchness, one neither imagines nor discriminates in this. With this sense awakened is one revealed thus. Once this is realized, even if one goes away from this assembly, because one's hearing is also suchness, one does not and cannot in any circumstance hesitate, does not and cannot become perplexed, does not and cannot doubt, and one is not stupefied by thought, concerning any or all of form, feeling, perceptions, impulses, or consciousness, as it is not thus. On the contrary, one is firmly aware as, it is just thus, just suchness, and with this, one realizes one's being as such. Just so, one does not prattle away about everything which comes into one's head. Such a one only speaks if this is considered beneficial for another, and not if this may not. One does not look in final judgment on what others do or don't do. Endowed with such attributes, tokens, and indications of suchness, a bodhisattva may be borne in mind as irreversible from full enlightenment. An irreversible bodhisattva cannot pander to Shramanas and Brahmins of other schools, telling these what anyone knows is worth knowing, or what anyone sees is worth seeing. A bodhisattva pays no homage to strange gods, offers these no flowers, incenses, etc., and cannot put one's trusts in these. A bodhisattva is no more reborn in places of woe, nor does one ever again become a different sex. As well, Subhuti, an irreversible bodhisattva undertakes to observe the 10 avenues, ways, of wholesome action. One observes, as one instigates others to observe, abstention from taking life, abstention from taking what is not given, abstention from wrong conduct as regards sensuous pleasures, abstention from intoxicants as tending to cloud the mind, abstention from lying speech, abstention from malicious speech, abstention from harsh speech, abstention from indistinct prattling, abstention from covetousness, abstention from ill will, abstention from wrong views. It is true an irreversible bodhisattva observes these 10 ways of wholesome action, and instigates any others to observe these, incites and encourages these to do so, establishes and confirms others in these. Even in bodhisattva dreams one never commits offenses against these 10 precepts, and one does not build on such offenses in one's mind. Even in one's dreams an irreversible bodhisattva keeps the 10 wholesome paths of action present in mind. Also, as an irreversible bodhisattva masters a text of dharma, and offers this to others, in mind one builds upon the welfare and happiness of all beings as such, and one offers this gift of dharma in common to all beings, with no distinction. What's more, as deep dharmas are taught, a bodhisattva is not hesitant, is not perplexed, is not doubtful, is not stupefied. One only says what is beneficial, speaks gently and in moderation. One exhibits little sloth and torpor, and loses all latent biases to evil. Whether one goes out or comes back, this mind does not wander, but one's mindfulness is fixed. As one steps on this ground one knows what one does, and as one lifts up and puts down one's feet one neither loiters nor hurries, but remains at ease. A bodhisattva's robe is free from lice, one's habits are clean, one is rarely ill, and afflictions are few. In one's body these 80,000 families of worms which are present in the bodies of other beings cannot at all develop, as these wholesome roots ensure one's place within this whole world. And as these wholesome roots such as these go on increasing, in due course one gains perfect purity of body, speech and thought. Subhuti, what is known as perfect purity of thought on the part of a bodhisattva? The Lord, as these wholesome roots go on increasing, in due course one gains a state of mind in which one develops few cares, and is free from treachery, deceit, crookedness and craftiness. In addition, this perfect purity of thought also consists in transcending through and beyond levels of Sravaka disciples and Pratyekabuddhas, while yet facing these, and being in perfect accord with any such ways, still just as intent on mutuality and benevolence. And what's more, an irreversible bodhisattva is not one to attach exclusivity to gain, honor, or fame, or to robes, alms bowl, lodging, or medicinal appliances for use in sickness. This is not one who is full of envy and meanness. And, as profound dharmas are revealed, one does not lose heart, but intelligence grows steady, and one's intelligence runs deep. With respect, one hears dharma from others, ever with a view to learn. All these dharmas one hears from others are united as perfection of wisdom, and also all worldly arts and professions one unites, thanks to this perfection of wisdom, as this very nature of dharma. Here is no dharma which one does not see as yoked to the nature of dharmas, and each dharma one sees is simply engaged in this effort. Mara's deeds. So now, Mara, the evil one, is only thought of as being the one conjuring up visions of the 8 great hells, with many hundreds, many thousands, many hundreds of thousands of bodhisattvas in these, and he says to an irreversible bodhisattva, these bodhisattvas, described by the Tathagata as irreversible, are reborn in these great hells. Just so you also, since you are described as irreversible, fall into these great hells. Confess this thought of enlightenment is an error. What is Buddhahood to you? Abandon it. In this way you avoid rebirth in the hells. As you act thus, you are one who goes to heaven. As the mind of the bodhisattva does not waver, is not put out, is certain in one's knowledge, an irreversible bodhisattva cannot possibly be reborn against one's will in the hells. This is another token of his irreversibility. Even so, Mara, the evil one, is seen as coming along possibly in the guise of a shramana, and saying, give up what you hear up to now, abandon what you gained so far. As you follow this advice, we again and again approach you, and say to you, what you hear just now is not the word of Buddha. It is poetry, the work of poets. But what I here teach to you, this is the teaching of Buddha, this is the word of the Buddha. Upon hearing this, as any bodhisattva wavers and is put out, one can know, such is not predicted by the Tathagata, this one is not fixed on full enlightenment, as this one does not stand firmly in this element of irreversibility. But again, even as one hears these words of Mara, one does not waver, but remains as this nature of dharma, to non-production, to non-stopping, to the unaffected. This is not one of these who put their trust in others. An arhat, a monk who has outflows dried up, does not go by what is said by merely someone else whom one trusts in, but has placed the nature of dharma directly before one's own eyes, before, or beyond, anyone or anything whatsoever, and Mara is seen as having no access to one such as this. Just so, any irreversible bodhisattva can neither be crushed nor inflated by beings belonging to the vehicle of Sravaka disciples and Pratyekabuddha, and one cannot, by this very nature, backslide into the level of disciples or Pratyekabuddhas, as any such as this are fixed on all knowledge, and end up in perfect enlightenment. It is quite certain any bodhisattva who stands firmly in the element of irreversibility cannot possibly be led astray by others. So, someone may come to the irreversible bodhisattva and say, a journey in birth and death is this coursing in perfection of wisdom, and not a journey of someone who is in quest of